such as one of the yoga's powers is to make something very light, so that massive stones, even without the use of a machine, just by yogic power, or perhaps yogic power combined with the use of certain machines, would make the lifting of stones that are 10 and 20 and 100 tons, and to put them in place very precisely, would actually be easy, because the ancient masters were the masters of yogic powers. They could make things very light. They could travel at the speed of the mind. So in this way, the Vedic literatures indicate that in the past, not only was there a government that was connected around the entire world, it was a perfected government, and with high technology. So I'm going to go ahead and read some of the verses from this scene that we come upon on 5,000 years ago as the personification of quarrel and hypocrisy. Kali is beating the cow and bull, who are the representations. The cow is the representation of Mother Earth, and the bull is the representation of Dharma, which means righteousness and all goodness. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start with text 14 because that's where we left off last time. So this is Maharaj Parikshit talking as he's come upon the scene where the cow and bull are being exploited by the master of Kali. Translation. Whoever causes offenseless living beings to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the offenseless. Purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami. Dishonest miscreants flourish because of cowardly and impotent executive heads of state. But when the executive heads are strong enough to curb all sorts of dishonest miscreants in any part of the state, certainly they cannot flourish. When the miscreants are punished in an exemplary manner, automatically all good fortune follows. As said before, it is the prime duty of the king or the executive head to give protection in all respects to the peaceful, offenseless citizens of the state. The devotees of the Lord are by nature peaceful and offenseless, and therefore it is the prime duty of the state to arrange to convert everyone to become a devotee of the Lord. Thus, automatically, there will be peaceful, offenseless citizens. Then, the only duty of the king will be to curb the dishonest miscreants. That will bring about peace and harmony all over the human society. So, from this verse, I think we can take an indication that in our natural state, we actually have an impulse to righteousness, an impulse to the truth, and that basically we're like truth-seeking missiles, that we want the truth, we want to understand what is going on around us in the universe and within ourselves and our relationship to other people and to the earth, and to the sky and to the water and the land and every living being. That's natural within us. So it really doesn't take very great effort to bring these things about, a society of righteousness and truthfulness and knowledge and prosperity. But unfortunately, in the age of Kali, there are manipulators behind the scenes who are the agents of Kali that manipulate human consciousness in ways to divert us from our natural habitat and our natural prosperity. This is why we see so much programming coming through in the media and different music and video images and cultural icons, etc., because our natural impulse is to the truth, so they have to go through so much extraneous effort to get us diverted from the truth. And this is not so much to be blamed on a particular person or a particular individual. It's kind of the influence of the age. Just like in the winter, we know that there's going to be a cold wind that blows, and that cold wind will be freezing everything and making things very uncomfortable. So in the same way, in this age, it's kind of like the wind or the current of this age is to divert people from spiritual knowledge. And there are certain people who understand that this is the current flow of the age, and they've decided to exploit it. Sometimes we hear about different secret societies that are controlling things behind the scenes and that control our politicians and governments. That's because these people understand ancient knowledge. The people in the secret societies, at least on the upper levels, they understand ancient knowledge, and their program at this point is to use ancient knowledge against people, whereas before Kali, knowledge was only used to uplift people. Now, the manipulators behind the scenes, they've kind of like decided to kind of side with the winning team. They understand that this is the nature of this age, and the flow of this age is towards degradation and to not be righteous. So they've kind of taken the easy way out for their own benefit. And also in this age, our impulse isn't so much strong as it used to be to spiritual knowledge. Rather, people are more greedy and wanting to enjoy different facilities of sense gratification for their own personal benefit, rather than being altruistic or being and experiencing pleasure in helping others or helping others come to spiritual knowledge. So there's a certain class of people that have garnered and usurped the ancient knowledge, that have decided that they're going to keep it for themselves, and that they will use this knowledge against people to keep kind of a royal class and a slave class, and that the slave class will work for them, and they'll be just given enough bread and circuses to keep them happy, to enjoy their golden shackles, and therefore the upper elite can really enjoy, so much facilities of sense gratification. And that's what's going on with the secret society thing, is that there's a class of people that have sequestered the ancient knowledge and have decided not to disseminate it for everyone's benefit. This is why Bhaktivedanta Swami and his teachings are so very important, because he is making the ancient knowledge of the Vedas and ancient India accessible to every man and every woman, whereas this knowledge has been sequestered for so many years and only certain groups of people have known about it to use against human society and to manipulate human consciousness for the degradation. Now here, for the first time in human history, we have someone stepping forward, breaking open the storehouse and the treasure house of Vedic knowledge for every common man and common language for the benefit of human society and for our upliftment. So this is very important. Okay, we'll move on to text 15. Translation. An upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though he be a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. So again, this is Maharaj Pariksit talking, the perfected emperor of the entire world only 5,000 years ago, in a perfected society that was all interconnected with great yogic masters and high technology. So this is who's speaking here. And this is the purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami. The denizens of heavenly kingdom are called Amara, or deathless, due to their possessing a long span of life, far greater than that of the human beings. For a human being who has only a maximum 100-year duration of life, a span of life spreading over millions of years is certainly considered to be deathless. For example, from the Bhagavad Gita we learn that on Brahma Loka, the planet, the duration of one day is calculated to be 4,300,000 times 1,000 solar years. So that's 4 billion years is one day for Brahma. Similarly, in other heavenly planets, one day is calculated to be 6 months of this planet, and the inhabitants get a life of 10 millions of their years. Therefore, in all higher planets, since the span of life is far greater than that of the human being, the denizens are called deathless by imagination, although actually no one within the material universe is deathless. Maharaj Pariksit challenges even such denizens of heaven if they torture the offenseless. This means that the state executive head must be as strong as Maharaj Pariksit, so that he may be determined to punish the strongest offenders. It should be the principle of a state executive head that the offender of the codes of God is always punished. Now, one thing about the denizens of heaven, in the Christian, I don't want people to misunderstand, but in the Christian paradigm, it seems like sometimes they say heaven is the ultimate destination, whereas in the Vedic literatures, heaven is considered to, the heavenly planets are part of this material universe. And the Vedic literatures speak of an anti-material universe called the spiritual realm, where there is no death, and there is no degradation, and there is no darkness. And that spiritual realm is actually our ultimate home and our ultimate destination. That even up to the highest, what would be called the heavenly planets of this material world, that is still not our actual home, even though we can enjoy there for some millions and billions of years. Still, everyone in this material world has to face death ultimately. And when compared to infinity, or infinite time, even living some millions and trillions of years is just a flash, it's a blink of an eye. And millions and trillions of years is no closer to infinity than 100 years. It's still infinitely far away. So from the perspective of the spiritual reality, which is all light, which is all fulfilling, which is all creation, which is all beauty, which is all love, which is all knowledge, that even that million-year lifespan is very, very short indeed. So we should never be misled to think that heaven is our ultimate destination, because that is still just one of the material planets where we do ultimately have to face some tribulation and some death, even though it's very much minimized compared to the earthly realm. And that our actual destination is in the anti-material world, or the anti-material realm, which, just as in this world, we have to face death. So in the anti-material world, there is no death. And just as in this world, there's lack of knowledge. So in the anti-material world, there is full knowledge. Just as in this world, we have to face so much anxiety and tribulation. In the anti-material world, there is no anxiety and no tribulation, etc. Okay, text 16. Translation. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency. Purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami. In the scriptures there is mention of apadharma, or occupational duty at times of extraordinary happenings. It is said that sometimes the great sage Vishwamitra had to live on the flesh of dogs in some extraordinarily dangerous position. In cases of emergency, one may be allowed to live on the flesh of animals of all description, but that does not mean that there should be regular slaughterhouses to feed the animal eaters, and that this system should be encouraged by the state. No one should try to live on flesh in ordinary times simply for the sake of the palate. If anyone does so, the king or the executive head should punish him for gross enjoyment. There are regular scriptural injunctions for different persons engaged in different occupational duties, and one who follows them is called svadharma, sta, or faithful in one's prescribed duties. In the Bhagavad Gita, 1848, it is advised that one should not give up his occupational prescribed duties, even if they are not always flawless. Such a svadharma might be violated in cases of emergency, if one is forced by circumstances, but they cannot be violated in ordinary times. The state executive head is to see that such svadharma is not changed by the follower, whatever it may be, and he should give all protection to the followers of svadharma. The violator is subject to punishment in terms of the Shastra, and the duty of the king is to see that everyone strictly follows his occupational duty as prescribed in the scripture. Text 17. Translation. The personality of religion said, "These words just spoken by you befit a person of the Pandava dynasty. Captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas, even Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, performed duties as a messenger." Purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami. The assurances and challenges made by Maharaj Parikshit are never exaggerations of his real power. The Maharaj said that even the denizens of heaven could not escape his stringent government if they were violators of religious principles. He was not falsely proud, for a devotee of the Lord is equally as powerful as the Lord, or sometimes more powerful by his grace. And any promise made by a devotee, though it may be ordinarily very difficult to fulfill, is properly executed by the grace of the Lord. The Pandavas, by their unalloyed devotional service and full surrender unto the Lord, made it possible for the Lord to become a chariot driver, or sometimes their letter messenger. Such duties executed by the Lord for his devotee are always very pleasing to the Lord, because the Lord wants to render service to his unalloyed devotees, whose life has no other engagement than to serve the Lord with full love and devotion. Maharaj Parikshit, grandson of Arjuna, the celebrated friendly servitor of the Lord, was a pure devotee of the Lord like his grandfather. And therefore the Lord was always with him, even from the time when he was helplessly lying in the womb of his mother and was attacked by the blazing Brahmastra weapon of Ashvatthama. A devotee is always under the protection of the Lord, and therefore the assurance of protection by Maharaj Parikshit can never be without meaning. The personality of religion accepted this fact and thanked the king for being true to his exalted position. So one interesting thing that sticks out to me in this verse is the mention of the Brahmastra weapon that was used against Maharaj Pariksit while he was in the womb of his mother. This is one of the high technologies spoken about in the Vedic literatures of past great civilizations.